Let's get ready for the New York real estate exam with 100 questions covering state-specific laws, principles, and practices you'll need to know. And don't miss what's happening in the bottom corner. It could be key to your exam prep. We'll tell you how in a minute. Now let's get started.
Let's dive right into New York real estate laws and regulations. We'll start with an overview of New York real estate statutes. What is the primary purpose of the New York State Real Property Law? Is it A, to govern the sale, leasing, and management of real estate? B, to establish zoning regulations for urban development? C, to regulate the construction industry standards? Or D, to monitor environmental impacts of real estate projects? The answer is A, to govern the sale, leasing, and management of real estate. The New York State Real Property Law primarily governs the sale, leasing, and management of real estate in New York, ensuring fair practices and protecting parties involved in real estate transactions. Under New York law, what is required for a valid real estate contract? Is it A, verbal agreement between parties? B, approval from a real estate attorney? C, a notarized document? Or D, written agreement with essential terms? The answer is D, written agreement with essential terms. A valid real estate contract in New York requires mutual consent, lawful purpose, competent parties, consideration, and a written agreement to comply with the statute of frauds.
Have you noticed the code in the bottom corner? Next time you're stumped, take that code to birdsy.ai for immediate help and a free study session with Birdsy, your personal AI study partner. Plus, you'll get access to hundreds of additional questions, helping you move closer to passing your exam with confidence. The next time you're feeling unsure or stuck, give it a try.
Which New York statute governs the process of property foreclosure? Is it A, New York State Real Property Law? B, Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law? C, New York State Building Code? Or D, General Obligations Law? The answer is B, Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law. In New York, foreclosure processes are governed by the Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law, which outlines the legal framework for initiating and conducting foreclosure actions. What is the purpose of the New York State Real Estate Property Condition Disclosure Act? Is it A, to regulate real estate agent commissions? B, to establish zoning requirements? C, to enforce building code compliance? Or D, to require sellers to disclose property defects? The answer is D, to require sellers to disclose property defects. The New York State Real Estate Property Condition Disclosure Act mandates sellers to disclose known material defects of a property to prospective buyers, promoting transparency and informed purchasing decisions. New York-specific fair housing laws. Which of the following is a protected class under the New York State Human Rights Law? Is it A, age? B, sexual orientation? C, political affiliation? Or D, veteran status? The answer is B, sexual orientation. The New York State Human Rights Law includes sexual orientation as a protected class, ensuring individuals cannot be discriminated against based on their sexual orientation in housing and other areas. What must a landlord in New York provide to a tenant at the start of a lease regarding fair housing? Is it A, a copy of the lease agreement? B, a list of emergency contacts? C, a notice of rights under fair housing laws? Or D, a tenant handbook? The answer is C, a notice of rights under fair housing laws. Landlords in New York are required to provide tenants with a notice of their rights under fair housing laws to ensure that tenants are aware of protections against discrimination. Which agency is responsible for enforcing fair housing laws in New York State? Is it A, New York State Division of Human Rights? B, Department of Housing and Urban Development. C. New York City Housing Authority. Or D. State Department of Real Estate. The answer is A. New York State Division of Human Rights. The New York State Division of Human Rights is tasked with enforcing fair housing laws, handling complaints, and ensuring compliance with anti-discrimination statutes. In New York, which of the following actions by a landlord is considered discriminatory under fair housing laws? Is it A. charging a security deposit, B. requesting a credit check, C. setting quiet hours, or D. refusing to rent based on race? The answer is D. refusing to rent based on race. Refusing to rent to someone based on their race is a direct violation of fair housing laws, which prohibit discrimination based on race, color, national origin, and other protected classes. What is the penalty for a first-time violation of New York's fair housing laws by a real estate licensee? Is it A. up to $5,000, B. up to $10,000, C. up to $15,000, or D. up to $20,000? The answer is B. up to $10,000. A first-time violation of New York's fair housing laws can result in a fine of up to $10,000, reflecting the seriousness with which these laws are enforced to prevent discrimination.
If you're finding this helpful, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, useful tips, and complimentary study sessions with Birdsy.
New York-specific contract requirements. Which of the following elements is required in a New York real estate contract to ensure it is legally binding? Is it A. legal description of the property, B. a notary public's signature, C. a witness signature, or D. a deposit of at least 5% of the purchase price? The answer is A. legal description of the property. In New York, a real estate contract must include the legal description of the property to be binding. This ensures clarity and prevents disputes over what is being sold. What is the purpose of the attorney review clause in New York real estate contracts? Is it A. to provide a cooling-off period for buyers, B. to allow attorneys to review and modify the contract, C. to finalize the contract terms, or D. to ensure the contract is notarized? The answer is B. to allow attorneys to review and modify the contract. The attorney review clause allows parties to have their attorneys review the contract, ensuring all legal rights are protected and any necessary changes can be made before finalizing. In New York, what is the statute of limitations for filing a lawsuit based on a real estate contract breach? Is it A. 3 years, B. 5 years, C. 6 years, or D. 7 years? The answer is C. 6 years. The statute of limitations for filing a lawsuit based on a breach of a real estate contract in New York is 6 years. This time frame allows parties to seek legal remedies if needed. Which party is typically responsible for paying the transfer tax in a New York real estate transaction? Is it A. the buyer, B. the real estate agent, C. the lender, or D. the seller? The answer is D. the seller. In New York, the seller usually pays the transfer tax unless otherwise agreed. This tax is a percentage of the sale price and varies by location. What is the significance of the time is of the essence clause in New York real estate contracts? Is it A. it enforces strict adherence to contract deadlines, B. it allows for flexible deadlines, C. it provides a grace period for contract completion, or D. it requires both parties to use the same attorney? The answer is A. it enforces strict adherence to contract deadlines. The time is of the essence clause stipulates that all contract deadlines are strict and must be adhered to. Failure to meet these deadlines can result in a breach of contract. Let's continue with licensing requirements and procedures. We'll start with a review of New York licensing requirements and procedures. What is the minimum age requirement to obtain a real estate salesperson license in New York? Is it A, 16 years old, B, 18 years old, C, 21 years old, or D, 25 years old? The answer is B, 18 years old. In New York, individuals must be at least 18 years old to apply for a real estate salesperson license. This age requirement ensures that applicants have reached the legal age of majority. Which of the following is a requirement for obtaining a real estate broker license in New York? Is it A, no prior experience needed, B, 1 year of experience as a salesperson, C, 2 years of experience as a salesperson, or D, 5 years of experience as a real estate attorney? The answer is C, 2 years of experience as a salesperson. To become a licensed broker in New York, one must have at least 2 years of experience as a licensed salesperson and complete additional education requirements. What is the required pre-licensing education for a real estate salesperson in New York? Is it A, hours, B, 60 hours, C, 90 hours, or D, 120 hours? The answer is A, 75 hours. New York mandates 75 hours of pre-licensing education for aspiring real estate salespersons, covering essential topics such as property law, ethics, and transactions. Which document must be submitted along with the real estate salesperson license application in New York? Is it A, a copy of a high school diploma, B, a letter of recommendation, C, proof of U.S. citizenship, or D, proof of completion of the 75-hour pre-licensing course? The answer is D, proof of completion of the 75-hour pre-licensing course. Applicants must submit proof of completion of the 75-hour pre-licensing course with their application. This ensures they have met the educational prerequisites. How often must a real estate salesperson in New York renew their license? Is it A, every year, B, every 3 years, C, every 2 years, or D, every 5 years? The answer is C, every 2 years. In New York, real estate salespersons must renew their licenses every 2 years. This ensures they stay current with industry practices and regulations.
Stuck on a question? Just think of the Birdsy link in the description as your friendly neighborhood superhero, swooping in to save the day with answers. Feel free to explore it now and return to continue. Simply hit pause, and we'll be waiting when you get back.
Continuing education requirements. What is the minimum number of continuing education hours required for real estate license renewal in New York? Is it A, 15 hours, B, 22.5 hours, C, 30 hours, or D, 40 hours? The answer is B, 22.5 hours. As of 2025, New York requires real estate licensees to complete 22.5 hours of continuing education to renew their license. This ensures that professionals stay informed about industry changes and maintain their skills. Which of the following topics is mandatory in the continuing education curriculum for New York real estate licensees? Is it A, fair housing, B, advanced marketing strategies, C, international real estate, or D, luxury property management? The answer is A, fair housing. Fair housing is a mandatory topic in New York's continuing education curriculum. This ensures that real estate professionals understand and comply with laws that prevent discrimination in housing. How often must New York real estate licensees complete their continuing education requirements? Is it A, annually, B, every 3 years, C, every 2 years, or D, every 5 years? The answer is C, every 2 years. In New York, real estate licensees are required to complete their continuing education requirements every 2 years. This biennial cycle helps ensure that professionals remain current with industry standards and practices. Which of the following is not a valid method for completing continuing education requirements in New York? Is it A, online courses through approved providers, B, in-person classes at accredited institutions, C, webinars conducted by certified instructors, or D, self-study without a proctor? The answer is D, self-study without a proctor. Self-study without a proctor is not a valid method for completing continuing education in New York. The state requires courses to be completed through approved providers to ensure quality and accountability. What is the consequence of failing to complete continuing education requirements by the renewal deadline in New York? Is it A, permanent revocation of the license, B, the license becomes inactive, C, a fine with no effect on the license status, or D, an automatic extension of the renewal deadline? The answer is B, the license becomes inactive. Failing to complete continuing education by the renewal deadline results in the license becoming inactive. Licensees must fulfill the requirements to reactivate their license and continue practicing legally. New York-specific exam structure and content. What is the minimum passing score for the New York real estate licensing exam? Is it A, 60%, B, 70%, C, 75%, or D, 80%? The answer is B, 70%. The New York real estate licensing exam requires a minimum passing score of 70%. This ensures that candidates have a basic understanding of real estate principles and laws specific to New York. Which of the following describes the format of the New York real estate licensing exam? Is it A, essay-based questions, B, true-false questions, C, short-answer questions, or D, multiple-choice questions? The answer is D, multiple-choice questions. The New York real estate licensing exam is administered in a multiple-choice format to assess candidates' knowledge efficiently. This format allows for objective grading and covers various topics relevant to real estate practice. Which of the following is a topic covered in the New York real estate exam? Is it A, fair housing laws, B, federal tax codes, C, international real estate markets, or D, corporate finance? The answer is A, fair housing laws. The New York real estate exam covers fair housing laws, among other key topics. This ensures that licensees understand and comply with regulations to prevent discrimination in real estate transactions. What is the duration of the New York real estate licensing exam? Is it A, 1 hour, B, 2 hours, C, 3 hours, or D, 1.5 hours? The answer is D, 1.5 hours. The New York real estate licensing exam typically lasts 1.5 hours. This time frame allows candidates to adequately demonstrate their knowledge and understanding of real estate principles and laws. What is the primary focus of the New York real estate licensing exam's content? Is it A, national real estate trends, B, commercial real estate, C, state-specific laws and regulations, or D, real estate marketing strategies? The answer is C, state-specific laws and regulations. The primary focus of the New York real estate licensing exam is on state-specific laws and regulations. This ensures that licensees are well-versed in New York's unique real estate legal framework. Let's continue with New York property ownership and land use. Starting with types of property ownership. Which type of property ownership allows for the most complete control over the property, including the right to sell or bequeath it? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is A, fee simple. Fee simple ownership grants the owner the most comprehensive rights, including the ability to sell, lease, or bequeath the property. This type of ownership is often considered the most complete form in real estate. In New York, what happens to a property held in joint tenancy if one of the owners dies? Is it A, the property is divided among all heirs of the deceased? B, the surviving owners inherit the deceased's share? C, the property must be sold and proceeds divided? Or D, the deceased's share is held in trust for their heirs? The answer is B, the surviving owners inherit the deceased's share. In joint tenancy, the right of survivorship means that the remaining owners automatically inherit the deceased owner's share, bypassing the probate process. Which type of property ownership in New York allows multiple owners to have unequal shares? Is it A, fee simple, B, joint tenancy, C, leasehold, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is D, tenancy in common. Tenancy in common allows owners to hold unequal shares and provides flexibility, as each owner can sell or transfer their share independently. What distinguishes a leasehold estate from other types of property ownership? Is it A, it provides permanent ownership, B, it includes the right of survivorship, C, it grants temporary use of the property, or D, it allows for unequal ownership shares? The answer is C, it grants temporary use of the property. A leasehold estate grants the tenant the right to use the property for a limited time, unlike other ownership types that provide indefinite or permanent rights. How does tenancy by the entirety differ from joint tenancy in New York? Is it A, it allows unequal ownership shares, B, it does not include survivorship rights, C, it can be held by any individuals, or D, it is exclusive to married couples? The answer is D, it is exclusive to married couples. Tenancy by the entirety is exclusive to married couples and includes rights of survivorship, while joint tenancy can be between any parties and also includes survivorship rights.
Notice the code in the corner? When you're stumped by a question, enter it at birdsy.ai for immediate help. Enjoy complimentary study sessions and access to hundreds of additional questions to help you pass your exam with confidence.
Public versus private land use controls. Which of the following is a primary function of zoning regulations in New York? Is it A, to increase property taxes, B, to reduce traffic congestion, C, to separate incompatible land uses, or D, to control public land sales? The answer is C, to separate incompatible land uses. Zoning regulations are designed to segregate land uses that are incompatible, such as residential and industrial, to ensure orderly development. They help maintain property values and community character. How does a variance differ from a zoning change in New York? Is it A, a variance allows deviation for a single property, B, a zoning change applies only to commercial properties, C, a variance permanently alters the zoning law, or D, a zoning change is a temporary adjustment? The answer is A, a variance allows deviation for a single property. A variance allows a property owner to use land in a way that deviates from zoning regulations, while a zoning change modifies the zoning ordinance itself, affecting multiple properties. What is the primary purpose of easements in relation to private land use? Is it A, to increase property value, B, to allow use of land without ownership, C, to restrict development on the land, or D, to transfer land ownership? The answer is B, to allow use of land without ownership. Easements grant the right to use another's land for a specific purpose, such as utility lines or access roads, without owning it. They help facilitate infrastructure and access needs. Which entity typically enforces zoning laws in New York? Is it A, state government, B. Federal government, C. Homeowners associations, or D. Local municipalities? The answer is D. Local municipalities. Local municipalities, such as city or town governments, are responsible for enforcing zoning laws. They ensure compliance through zoning boards and planning commissions. What is a common legal tool used to restrict the use of private land in New York? Is it A. Restrictive covenants, B. Building permits, C. Eminent domain, or D. Zoning variances? The answer is A. Restrictive covenants. Restrictive covenants are private agreements that limit how land can be used, often included in property deeds, to maintain certain standards in a neighborhood or development. Land use and zoning laws. What is the primary purpose of zoning laws in New York? Is it A. To increase property tax revenue, B. To control population growth, C. To separate incompatible land uses, or D. To regulate building aesthetics? The answer is C. To separate incompatible land uses. Zoning laws in New York are designed to separate different types of land uses, such as residential, commercial, and industrial, to prevent conflicts and promote orderly development. Which of the following is a common zoning classification in New York? Is it A. Residential, B. Agricultural, C. Recreational, or D. Mixed? The answer is A. Residential. Residential, commercial, and industrial are common zoning classifications in New York, each designating how land can be used within a particular area. What is a variance in the context of New York zoning laws? Is it A. A temporary zoning change, B. An exception to zoning rules, C. A type of zoning district, or D. A zoning enforcement measure? The answer is B. An exception to zoning rules. A variance allows a property owner to use their land in a way that deviates from the zoning ordinance, typically granted when strict enforcement would cause undue hardship. Which body typically grants variances in New York municipalities? Is it A. City Council, B. Planning Department, C. Building Department, or D. Zoning Board of Appeals? The answer is D. Zoning Board of Appeals. In New York, the Zoning Board of Appeals is the body responsible for granting variances, allowing deviations from the established zoning ordinances. What is the impact of a non-conforming use in New York zoning? Is it A. It must be immediately ceased, B. It is automatically rezoned, C. It is typically grandfathered, or D. It leads to property devaluation? The answer is C. It is typically grandfathered. A non-conforming use occurs when a property's existing use does not comply with current zoning laws, often because the use predated the zoning ordinance. Co-ops, condominiums, and HOAs. What is a significant difference between a cooperative, co-op, and a condominium in New York? Is it A. Co-op owners hold shares in a corporation while condo owners own their units, B. Co-op owners have fewer responsibilities than condo owners, C. Co-op owners have more privacy than condo owners, or D. Co-op owners can freely rent out their units? The answer is A. Co-op owners hold shares in a corporation while condo owners own their units. In a cooperative, residents own shares in a corporation that owns the entire building, while in a condominium, individuals own their specific units. This affects ownership rights and responsibilities. Which entity is primarily responsible for the management of a condominium building in New York? Is it A. The individual unit owners, B. A government agency, C. A board of directors elected by unit owners, or D. The homeowners association president? The answer is C. A board of directors elected by unit owners. In New York, a condominium is typically managed by a board of directors elected by the unit owners. This board oversees operations, maintenance, and policy enforcement within the building. What is the primary function of a homeowners association in a condominium setting? Is it A, to provide legal advice to owners, B, to manage common areas and enforce community rules, C, to sell units within the condominium, or D, to approve all renovation projects? The answer is B, to manage common areas and enforce community rules. An HOA in a condominium manages common areas, enforces rules, and collects fees for maintenance and improvements. It ensures the community functions smoothly and maintains property values. How do co-op boards in New York typically influence the sale of units? Is it A, by setting the price for each unit, B, by providing financing options, C, by offering tax incentives to buyers, or D, by approving or rejecting potential buyers? The answer is D, by approving or rejecting potential buyers. Co-op boards often have the right to approve or deny prospective buyers. This allows them to maintain control over the community and ensure potential residents align with the co-op's values. What is a common restriction imposed by co-op boards in New York regarding subletting units? Is it A, no restrictions on subletting, B, subletting is often limited or requires board approval, C, subletting is encouraged to increase revenue, or D, subletting is only allowed for family members? The answer is B, subletting is often limited or requires board approval. Co-op boards often limit subletting to maintain community stability and ensure that residents are invested in the property. These restrictions help preserve the quality and culture of the co-op. Environmental issues. What is a primary purpose of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act? Is it A, to assess environmental impacts of proposed projects, B, to regulate property taxes, C, to enforce zoning laws, or D, to promote tourism in New York? The answer is A, to assess environmental impacts of proposed projects. SICRA requires government agencies to consider environmental impacts before approving projects. This helps ensure sustainable development and prevents undue harm to natural resources. Which of the following is a key feature of the New York Brownfield Cleanup Program? Is it A, providing grants for new construction, B, mandating the demolition of old buildings, C, offering tax incentives for site remediation, or D, restricting land use to residential purposes? The answer is C, offering tax incentives for site remediation. The Brownfield Cleanup Program offers tax incentives to encourage the redevelopment of contaminated properties, aiming to promote economic growth while addressing environmental concerns. What is the role of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in land use? Is it A, to manage property sales, B, to enforce environmental regulations, C, to set property tax rates, or D, to provide housing loans? The answer is B, to enforce environmental regulations. The DEC oversees the protection and management of New York's natural resources, ensuring that land use complies with environmental regulations and conservation efforts. How does New York's Coastal Zone Management Program affect property development? Is it A, it increases property taxes in coastal areas, B, it bans all new construction in coastal zones, C, it requires all coastal properties to be residential, or D, it enforces sustainable development practices? The answer is D, it enforces sustainable development practices. The program ensures that development along coastlines is sustainable and compliant with environmental standards, balancing economic growth with the protection of coastal ecosystems. Which of the following best describes a conservation easement in New York? Is it A, a mandatory zoning restriction, B, a government-owned land area, C, a voluntary agreement to protect land, Or D, a requirement for all agricultural lands? The answer is C, a voluntary agreement to protect land. A conservation easement is a voluntary agreement that restricts land use to protect its conservation values, often providing tax benefits to landowners.
Don't forget to comment below with your tips, challenges, and thoughts on exam preparation. Your experiences can make a big difference for others.
Let's move on to New York agency law and ethics. We'll start with agency relationship laws. Which of the following is a fiduciary duty owed by an agent to a principal under New York agency law? Is it A, loyalty, B, profit maximization, C, independence, or D, negotiation? The answer is A. In New York, agents owe principals fiduciary duties such as loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and reasonable care. Loyalty requires prioritizing the principal's interests above all else. What is the primary purpose of the agency disclosure form in New York real estate transactions? Is it A, to determine commission rates, B, to clarify the agent's representation, C, to verify property ownership, or D, to approve property listings? The answer is B, to clarify the agent's representation. The agency disclosure form is designed to inform all parties about the agent's role and whom they represent, ensuring transparency and preventing conflicts of interest in real estate transactions. Under New York agency law, when can a dual agency be legally established? Is it A, when the agent decides it's beneficial, B, automatically in all transactions, C, with informed consent from both parties, or D, without any disclosures? The answer is C, with informed consent from both parties. Dual agency is permissible in New York only when both parties give informed consent. This requires full disclosure and agreement from both the buyer and seller, acknowledging the agent's dual role. What is the consequence for an agent who breaches their fiduciary duty of confidentiality under New York law? Is it A, increased commission, B, no consequence if unintentional, C, mandatory retraining, or D, legal action and potential damages? The answer is D, legal action and potential damages. Breaching confidentiality can lead to legal action against the agent, including potential lawsuits for damages. It undermines trust and violates ethical standards, impacting the agent's reputation and licensure. In New York, what must an agent do if they discover a conflict of interest after entering an agency relationship? Is it A, ignore it if it seems minor, B, disclose it to the principal immediately, C, wait until the transaction is complete, or D, seek advice from a third party? The answer is B, disclose it to the principal immediately. An agent must disclose any conflicts of interest to the principal as soon as they become aware. This ensures transparency and allows the principal to make informed decisions regarding the relationship. Fiduciary duties and client representation. Under New York agency law, which fiduciary duty requires an agent to act in the best interest of the client above their own interests? Is it A, confidentiality, B, C, disclosure, or D, reasonable care? The answer is B, loyalty. The duty of loyalty obligates agents to prioritize their clients' interests over their own. This ensures that agents do not engage in conflicts of interest and act with integrity. What fiduciary duty obligates a real estate agent to provide all material facts to their client in New York? Is it A, obedience, B, C, disclosure, or D, confidentiality? The answer is C, disclosure. The duty of disclosure requires agents to inform clients of all material facts that could affect their decisions, ensuring transparency and informed decision-making. Which fiduciary duty requires a New York real estate agent to protect a client's financial information? Is it A, confidentiality, B, loyal, C, disclosure, or D, reasonable care? The answer is A, confidentiality. Confidentiality is the fiduciary duty that mandates agents to safeguard their clients' financial and personal information, maintaining trust and security. In New York, which fiduciary duty ensures that an agent must follow all lawful instructions from their client? Is it A, loyalty, B, disclosure, C, confidentiality, or D, obedience? The answer is D, obedience. The duty of obedience requires agents to adhere to all lawful instructions given by their client, ensuring that the client's wishes are respected within legal boundaries. What is the fiduciary duty that requires an agent to act with competence and diligence in representing a client in New York? Is it A, loyalty, B, obedience, C, reasonable care, or D, disclosure? The answer is C, reasonable care. Reasonable care and diligence require agents to perform their duties with the necessary skill and attention, ensuring competent client representation and minimizing errors. New York Ethics Guidelines and Enforcement. Under New York Ethics Guidelines, which of the following is considered a breach of fiduciary duty by a real estate agent? Is it A, disclosing known property defects to the buyer, B, negotiating the best price for the client, C, accepting undisclosed commissions, or D, providing accurate market analysis? The answer is C, accepting undisclosed commissions. A breach of fiduciary duty occurs when an agent acts in their own interest rather than the client's. Accepting undisclosed commissions is a direct conflict of interest, violating ethical guidelines. Which action would likely lead to disciplinary action under New York's real estate ethics enforcement? Is it A, falsifying transaction documents, B, holding client funds in a separate escrow account, C, attending continuing education courses, or D, advertising services truthfully? The answer is A, falsifying transaction documents. Falsifying documents undermines trust and integrity in real estate transactions, violating ethical standards and leading to disciplinary actions. What is the primary purpose of the New York Ethics Guidelines for real estate professionals? Is it A, to increase property sales, B, to protect the public interest, C, to standardize commission rates, or D, to limit competition among agents? The answer is B, to protect the public interest. The guidelines ensure agents act with integrity, fairness, and transparency, protecting public interest and maintaining industry standards. How does New York enforce ethical behavior among real estate agents? Is it A, by offering incentives for ethical behavior, B, through voluntary compliance programs, C, by setting annual ethics training requirements, or D, by imposing fines and suspensions? The answer is D, by imposing fines and suspensions. The state's Department of State oversees real estate licensing and can impose penalties, including fines and license suspension or revocation, for ethical violations. Which of the following is a key component of ethical practice under New York agency law? Is it A, maximizing personal profit, B, maintaining client confidentiality, C, aggressively marketing properties, or D, offering the lowest commission rates? The answer is B, maintaining client confidentiality. Confidentiality is crucial to maintaining trust and integrity in client-agent relationships, ensuring sensitive information is not disclosed improperly. Next, let's spend some time on New York financing. Starting with mortgage loans and financing options. What is the primary purpose of the New York State Mortgage Assistance Program? Is it A, To provide low-interest loans for first-time homebuyers. B. To assist homeowners at risk of foreclosure. C. To subsidize mortgage interest rates for veterans. Or D. To offer tax incentives for property developers. The answer is B. To assist homeowners at risk of foreclosure. The map is designed to help homeowners in New York who are at risk of foreclosure by providing them with financial assistance to cover mortgage arrears or other housing-related expenses. Which type of mortgage is typically used for properties in need of significant renovation in New York? Is it A. Conforming loan, B. C. 203 loan, or D. Reverse mortgage? The answer is C. 203 loan. A 203 loan, backed by the FHA, allows borrowers to finance both the purchase of a home and the cost of its renovation, making it ideal for fixer-uppers. What is a key feature of an adjustable rate mortgage in New York? Is it A. Interest rates can change over time, B. Interest rates are fixed for the loan's life, C. Monthly payments decrease over time, or D. Principal balance is forgiven after 10 years? The answer is A. Interest rates can change over time. An ARM features an interest rate that can change periodically based on the index it is tied to, potentially leading to lower initial rates but increased risk of rate hikes. What distinguishes a cooperative loan from a traditional mortgage in New York? Is it A. It is used for single-family homes, B. It requires a higher down payment, C. It offers lower interest rates, or D. It finances the purchase of shares in a building? The answer is D. It finances the purchase of shares in a building. Cooperative loans finance the purchase of shares in a cooperative corporation, granting occupancy rights to a unit, unlike traditional mortgages that finance direct home ownership. Which program helps New York homebuyers with down payment assistance? Is it A. SONYMA, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, B. U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA loan, C. Fannie Mae, or D. Freddie Mac? The answer is A. SONYA, the State of New York Mortgage Agency. The State of New York Mortgage Agency offers programs that include down payment assistance, helping buyers with the initial costs of purchasing a home.
Notice the code in the corner? When you're stumped by a question, enter it at Birdsy.ai for immediate help. Enjoy complimentary study sessions and access to hundreds of additional questions to help you pass your exam with confidence.
Loan applications and approval processes. What is the primary purpose of a loan estimate in New York's loan application process? Is it A. To finalize the loan agreement terms, B. To determine the borrower's creditworthiness, C. To inform borrowers of estimated loan costs, or D. To confirm the borrower's employment status? The answer is C. To inform borrowers of estimated loan costs. A loan estimate provides borrowers with important details about their loan, including estimated interest rates, monthly payments, and closing costs, helping them make informed decisions. Which document must a borrower receive within 3 business days after submitting a loan application in New York? Is it A. Closing disclosure, B. Loan estimate, C. Credit report, or D. Appraisal report? The answer is B. Loan estimate. The loan estimate must be provided within 3 business days of receiving a loan application, detailing the key features, costs, and risks of the mortgage loan. In New York, what role does the underwriter play in the loan approval process? Is it A. Evaluates the borrower's creditworthiness and loan risk, B. Sets the interest rate for the loan, C. Prepares the loan estimate document, or D. Schedules the closing date for the loan? The answer is A. Evaluates the borrower's creditworthiness and loan risk. The underwriter assesses the risk of lending by evaluating the borrower's credit history, income, and the property's value to ensure the loan meets lender criteria. What is a common reason for a loan application denial in New York? Is it A, high property value, B, excessive loan amount, C, inadequate employment history, or D, insufficient credit score? The answer is D, insufficient credit score. Loan applications are often denied due to insufficient credit scores, which indicate a higher risk of default, making lenders hesitant to approve the loan. How does the Truth in Lending Act protect borrowers in the loan application process in New York? Is it A, by setting interest rate limits, B, by mandating clear disclosure of loan terms, C, by approving loan applications, or D, by regulating property appraisals? The answer is B, by mandating clear disclosure of loan terms. TILA ensures borrowers receive clear and accurate information about the loan costs and terms, promoting transparency and informed decision-making in the lending process. New York Mortgage Disclosure Requirements. What is the primary purpose of the New York Mortgage Disclosure Requirements? Is it A, to ensure transparency and protect consumers, B, to limit the number of mortgage applications, C, to increase state revenue through fees, or D, to simplify the mortgage application process? The answer is A, to ensure transparency and protect consumers. The primary purpose of the New York Mortgage Disclosure Requirements is to ensure transparency and protect consumers by providing them with clear and complete information about the terms and costs associated with their mortgage. Which document must be provided to borrowers under New York's mortgage disclosure laws? Is it A, property appraisal report, B, loan estimate, C, credit score report, or D, title insurance policy? The answer is B, loan estimate. The loan estimate must be provided to borrowers, detailing the key features, costs, and risks of the mortgage loan to help them make informed decisions. Under New York Mortgage Disclosure Requirements, when must the closing disclosure be provided to the borrower? Is it A, 1 day before closing, B, on the day of closing, C, 3 business days before closing, or D, 1 week before closing? The answer is C, 3 business days before closing. The closing disclosure must be provided to the borrower at least 3 business days before the closing of the mortgage loan, allowing time for review and questions. What information does the New York Mortgage Loan Originator Disclosure Statement primarily provide? Is it A, borrower's credit score, B, property appraisal value, C, interest rate of the mortgage, or D, fees and compensation for the originator? The answer is D, fees and compensation for the originator. The New York Mortgage Loan Originator Disclosure Statement primarily provides information about the fees and compensation that the mortgage loan originator will receive, ensuring transparency for the borrower. How do New York mortgage disclosure requirements impact the borrower's right to cancel a transaction? Is it A, they eliminate the right to cancel once signed, B, they allow cancellation within 3 days, C, they extend the cancellation period to 1 week, or D, they require a court order to cancel? The answer is B, they allow cancellation within 3 days. These requirements provide borrowers with the right to cancel certain transactions within 3 days, ensuring they have the opportunity to reconsider the terms without financial penalty. New York-specific loan programs. Which of the following is a characteristic of the New York State Mortgage Assistance Program? Is it A, provides grants for first-time homebuyers, B, offers loans to cover mortgage arrears, C, targets only commercial property owners, or D, requires a minimum credit score of 750? The answer is B, offers loans to cover mortgage arrears. The Mortgage Assistance Program in New York is designed to provide financial help to homeowners facing foreclosure. It offers loans to cover mortgage arrears and other debts to prevent loss of home. What is the primary purpose of the New York State Homeowner Assistance Fund? Is it A, to prevent mortgage delinquencies and defaults? B, to finance new home construction projects? C, to provide low-interest loans for home renovations? Or D, to offer educational grants to real estate professionals? The answer is A, to prevent mortgage delinquencies and defaults. The Homeowner Assistance Fund aims to prevent mortgage delinquencies and defaults. It provides financial support to homeowners impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, helping them maintain homeownership. How does the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority assist homeowners? Is it A, by providing emergency mortgage assistance? B, by offering tax deductions for property taxes? C, by financing energy-efficient home improvements? Or D, by funding real estate agent training programs? The answer is C, by financing energy-efficient home improvements. The NYSERDA offers programs to improve energy efficiency and reduce energy costs for homeowners. These include incentives and financing options for energy-saving home upgrades and renewable energy installations. Which program is specifically designed to assist New York veterans with home purchasing? Is it A, New York First-Time Homebuyer Program? B, Homes for Veterans Program? C, New York City Housing Development Program? Or D, State Affordable Housing Corporation? The answer is B, Homes for Veterans Program. The Homes for Veterans Program offers special mortgage terms to veterans in New York, including reduced interest rates and assistance with down payments, making homeownership more accessible. What is a benefit of the New York State of Mind Mortgage Program? Is it A, offers low interest rates to eligible homebuyers? B, provides 100% financing for all applicants? C, targets commercial real estate investors? Or D, includes free home insurance for the first year? The answer is A, offers low interest rates to eligible homebuyers. The NYSOM mortgage program offers low interest rates to eligible homebuyers, making it easier to afford a home in New York. It aims to promote homeownership across the state. New York State Housing Finance Agency. What is the primary purpose of the New York State Housing Finance Agency? Is it A, to provide affordable housing financing? B, to regulate real estate agents? C, to offer tax incentives for commercial properties? Or D, to manage public transportation projects? The answer is A, to provide affordable housing financing. The New York State Housing Finance Agency primarily aims to provide affordable housing by financing the construction and rehabilitation of housing projects. It issues bonds to raise funds for these initiatives. Which of the following is a funding source for the New York State Housing Finance Agency? Is it A, federal grants? B, tax-exempt bonds? C, state property taxes? Or D, private donations? The answer is B, tax-exempt bonds. HFA primarily raises funds through the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. These bonds are used to finance affordable housing projects across New York State. Who benefits most directly from the programs offered by the New York State Housing Finance Agency? Is it A, real estate developers? B, high-income individuals? C, low and moderate-income families? Or D, tourism industry workers? The answer is C, low and moderate-income families. Low and moderate-income families benefit from HFA programs, as these initiatives aim to make housing more affordable for these groups in New York State. Which type of housing does the New York State Housing Finance Agency primarily finance? Is it A, luxury condominiums. B, multifamily housing projects. C, single-family homes. Or D, commercial real estate. The answer is B, multifamily housing projects. HFA primarily finances multifamily housing projects to increase the availability of affordable housing units for low and moderate income residents. How does the New York State Housing Finance Agency contribute to community development? Is it A, by stabilizing neighborhoods with affordable housing? B, by providing direct employment opportunities? C, by reducing transportation costs? Or D, by funding local business startups? The answer is A, by stabilizing neighborhoods with affordable housing. By financing affordable housing projects, HFA helps stabilize neighborhoods, increase property values, and promote economic development, contributing significantly to community growth and development. Let's continue with New York disclosure requirements and forms. New York-specific disclosure requirements. What is the purpose of the New York State Agency disclosure form for buyer and seller? Is it A, to inform parties of the agency relationship? B, to disclose property defects? C, to provide a list of available properties? Or D, to verify the buyer's financial status? The answer is A, to inform parties of the agency relationship. The New York State Agency disclosure form is designed to inform buyers and sellers of the nature of their agency relationship with a real estate agent, ensuring transparency and understanding of roles. When must the New York Agency disclosure form be presented to a client? Is it A, after the first property showing? B, at the first substantive contact? C, when an offer is made? Or D, at the closing of the transaction? The answer is B, at the first substantive contact. The form must be presented at the first substantive contact with the client, ensuring transparency about the agency relationship from the outset of the interaction. Which of the following is not a type of agency relationship disclosed in the New York Agency disclosure form? Is it A, buyer's agent? B, seller's agent? C, dual agent? Or D, transaction broker? The answer is D, transaction broker. The form discloses various agency relationships like buyer's agent, seller's agent, dual agent, and dual agent with designated sales agents, but not a transaction broker. What is the consequence if a real estate agent fails to provide the agency disclosure form in New York? Is it A, the transaction is automatically voided? B, the client must sign a waiver? C, disciplinary action against the agent? Or D, mandatory retraining for the agent? The answer is C, disciplinary action against the agent. Failure to provide the form can result in disciplinary action by the New York State Department of State, including fines or suspension of the agent's license. In New York, what must a dual agent disclose to both parties in a transaction? Is it A, potential conflicts of interest? B, the other party's financial status? C, the exact amount of commission? Or D, the listing price of all properties in the area? The answer is A, potential conflicts of interest. A dual agent must disclose any potential conflicts of interest and obtain written consent from both parties to ensure transparency in the dual agency arrangement.
If you're finding this helpful, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, useful tips, and complimentary study sessions with Birdsy.
Commonly used New York forms. Which form is mandatory for real estate agents to provide to clients in New York to disclose the nature of their agency relationship? Is it A, lead paint disclosure form? B, New York State disclosure form for buyer and seller? C, exclusive right to sell agreement? Or D, property condition disclosure statement? The answer is B, New York State disclosure form for buyer and seller. The New York State disclosure form for buyer and seller is required to inform clients about the agent's role and duties in the transaction, ensuring transparency and understanding. What is the primary purpose of the property condition disclosure statement in New York? Is it A, to inform buyers of known property defects, B, to establish the agency relationship, C, to provide a market analysis, or D, to determine property taxes? The answer is A, to inform buyers of known property defects. The property condition disclosure statement aims to inform potential buyers about known defects and conditions of the property, promoting transparency and informed decision-making in real estate transactions. In New York, when must the lead paint disclosure form be provided to potential buyers? Is it A, after closing the sale, B, during the home inspection, C, before signing the contract, or D, when listing the property? The answer is C, before signing the contract. For properties built before 1978, the lead paint disclosure form must be provided before a contract is signed, ensuring buyers are aware of potential lead hazards. What is the consequence for a seller who fails to provide the property condition disclosure statement in New York? Is it A, the sale is voided, B, the buyer can sue for damages, C, the seller must repair all defects, or D, the seller credits the buyer $500 at closing? The answer is D, the seller credits the buyer $500 at closing. If a seller fails to provide this disclosure, they are required to credit the buyer $500 at closing, serving as a penalty for non-compliance with disclosure requirements. Which form is used to outline the terms under which a real estate broker will represent a seller in New York? Is it A, exclusive right to sell agreement, B, open listing agreement, C, dual agency disclosure form, or D, purchase agreement? The answer is A, exclusive right to sell agreement. The exclusive right to sell agreement outlines the terms of representation, granting the broker exclusive rights to sell the property and detailing commission and other terms. Specific procedures for transactions. Which form is required to be presented first in a New York real estate transaction to ensure proper disclosure? Is it A, purchase agreement, B, agency disclosure form, C, lead paint disclosure, or D, property condition disclosure statement? The answer is B, agency disclosure form. The agency disclosure form must be presented at the first substantive contact with a prospective buyer or seller. This ensures both parties are aware of the agent's role and responsibilities. In New York, what is the primary purpose of the property condition disclosure statement? Is it A, to determine the property's market value, B, to provide financing options to buyers, C, to disclose known property defects to buyers, or D, to outline the terms of the sale? The answer is C, to disclose known property defects to buyers. The property condition disclosure statement is used by sellers to inform buyers about known defects or issues with the property, ensuring transparency and reducing potential legal disputes. What is the consequence for a seller in New York who fails to provide the property condition disclosure statement to the buyer? Is it A, the seller must credit the buyer $500 at closing, B, the sale is automatically voided, C, the seller must provide a free home inspection, or D, there are no consequences? The answer is A, the seller must credit the buyer $500 at closing. If a seller fails to provide the property condition disclosure statement, they must credit the buyer $500 at closing. This penalty encourages compliance with disclosure laws. Which party is responsible for ensuring the lead paint disclosure is provided in a New York real estate transaction involving a property built before 1978? Is it A, the buyer, B, the real estate agent, C, the seller, or D, the home inspector? The answer is C, the seller. The seller is responsible for providing the lead paint disclosure to the buyer as it pertains to known hazards within the property being sold. When must the agency disclosure form be updated in a New York real estate transaction? Is it A, before the first showing, B, at closing, C, when the buyer makes an offer, or D, when the agency relationship changes? The answer is D, when the agency relationship changes. The agency disclosure form must be updated whenever there is a change in the agency relationship, ensuring all parties are informed of the agent's current role and responsibilities.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, tips, and tricks. And don't forget to visit Birdsy.ai for complimentary study sessions with Birdsy, your AI-powered study partner.